There is a concept of spirituality that people don't get yet, is that there is no spirituality without conflict. There's no spirituality without chaos. And it's somewhere in that high eye of the hurricane that you'll find your center. Yeah.
Yes. How did you get to hear about Heartfulness, and how did you end up coming here at all?
I first heard it was during COVID lockdown, and I was up in the mountains. I was in Uttarakhand someplace. And a man called Rudy called me and said, we would like you. It was World Peace Day, and it was being celebrated here. And would I be willing to do an interview with Daji? And I said,
Who's that?
Sure, but like, who's Daji? And then that's when the first time I heard, and then I investigated. That's what the first time I heard was. And it was up in the mountains, the connection was so bad. And I remember sitting outside, and the light was fading because inside there was no place. So I sat outside, looked prettier with all the greenery in the background. I kept trying to get connection, and I said, oh my God, I hope we get connection before the light fades, but we did. And that interview happened. Now, that's when I first heard of Daji. And then I'm a great friend of Deepak Chopra, and then he said he was here. I said, okay. Then the next thing was I got this invite from the Ministry of Culture. What? This is a spiritual gathering. And they would like me to come and speak at a spiritual gathering. Then the same thing happened. I'm probably the most evil man in the world. What have I got to do with spirituality? Because there is a concept of spirituality that people don't get yet, is that there is no spirituality without conflict. There's no spirituality without chaos. And it's somewhere in that high eye of the hurricane that you'll find your center. Yeah.
Yes.
So I get surprised when I got called for spirituality because, so what I do is said, okay, I'd love to. Then they said, maybe, and then I said, no, I have to talk. Because I find myself when I talk, I don't ever, like right now, I have never got to, if you even told me what are the questions you're going to ask me, I would say, no, don't tell me.
Don't tell.
Because somewhere in being truthful and honest and throwing caution to the winds, because that's also about spirituality, of becoming unbound by the box of reasonability, the coffin of reasonability. I have to get out of that. And so when I put myself on the line and there's an audience there and I don't know what to say, only the truth can come out. Because you could either lie and then it'll be very boring. The truth comes out under conflict and chaos within my mind. So I said, yes, that's why I came here.
And that's also the part of the connect, right? You're in the flow, and then everything comes naturally, like we are right now. I mean, there is no blockages of.
People always imagine when I say I'm in the flow, they think it's, the flow is something very smooth.
No.
But like a very deep river that flows, only the top is smooth. You look deep in the river, and it's fundamentally trying to break the banks.
Yeah.
You ever try it? You go down deep in the river, and it'll chuck you around. Like there are whirlpools everywhere. And then when you get to the top, you say, how calmly Ganga is flowing. Go deep inside.
Right.
And you'll find all the turmoil that the river is going through. Yeah. So the flow is the exterior of turmoil that does not stop flowing. That's it. It's turmoil that does not stop flowing is flow.
Masoom and later, I feel that they all have an undercurrent of, addressing these spiritual aspects. If not spiritual, the complexity of life.
I think it's spiritual. I think that when I look back at my movies, there's a fundamental desire to search for innocence.
Yes.
Underlying it.
Yeah.
The characters, But that's why in my film, bad people are not really. Even Mogambo is very sweet.
Very sweet, right? Kushua.
Yeah. So there's this fundamental desire to find the innocence in everything. And the search for innocence is my own search for my own innocence. And my own innocence is a spiritual search. The search for innocence is a very spiritual search. So Yeah. That was an analysis I made when somebody asked me the question, what is the commonality between all your movies? I couldn't understand it because, from Masoom to Mr. India to Bandit Queen to Elizabeth and all the other things I made in between, genre-wise, they're also different. So what holds them together? And I realized, even in Bandit Queen, within Poolan Devi, I was looking for the child in her and the innocence in her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the search for innocence is probably a spiritual search.
And love, maybe also. Like there is always some aspect of love.
I don't say love because it's especially in the genre of filmmaking.
Overused.
Yeah, it's a much abused word because love is confined. Ownership. And so when if I say to people, which I'll say that, are you finding love? I'll say, yeah, just open your eyes and open your heart and you see actually live in an embryo of love. You were born in an embryo of love. You exist in an embryo of love and you always will.